Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be covering the Teen Titans bedrooms here, finishing up what we started with the last speed build. Starting off today we're going to be doing Raven's room here, and it's a bit of a rough start, I'm not gonna lie to you. A lot of things are gonna change from what I initially do. I have this image in my head and I want her bed to be this very grand moment because I have all of these reference photos up and we don't really have anything like Raven's bed outside of the Realm of Magic one for me to use. But I wanted to make it a little more distinct and unique from just being a Realm of Magic bed, so it causes me a little bit of issue throughout the furnishing of her room here. And you're going to see a lot of different weird curtain usage come out as we continue through. And there's going to be a couple of hard cuts as well. And we're actually about to come up to the first one after we place down her end tables here, which I end up going pretty modern with most of her furniture. So like I mentioned, I am using a lot of references for this, and one of the major references I saw had this little chest in her room and very modern furniture. So it's a very interesting mix between like the very gothic, old, grand style that you think of when you think of like your average like gothic interior, and then this very modern furnishing that I really want to come across in this speed build. So as I'm going through, I'm looking at this reference trying to see what I can pull in from different images around her room. And I was really glad that I was able to do that chest moment. And I'm also going to be able to do a pretty decent interpretation of her dresser and mirror moment as well. Now, I did furnish this before the spa day update came out, and I'd probably use one of the new meditation seats had I known that was coming. But unfortunately, I didn't know about it until well after this was done being furnished. Because I have a couple of videos that I've already recorded, but I'm just waiting to get released. Thus is the life of pre-recording, am I right? So you're gonna see that a couple of things, if I'm using anything from Spa Day, I don't have the new Spa Day stuff yet, just because it hasn't been released yet, which is kind of cool. And I am considering going back in and updating it a little bit in the future, but for now I am still pretty happy with the overall outcome of the room. So speaking of the room, here I am trying to find a good painting to put up on the wall here. And I end up doing some very dark posters, because I really liked putting posters in their rooms since they are, you know, the Teen Titans, and I wanted their rooms to feel a little more youthful since most of it is very like heavily decorated and themed. I didn't want it to be too far from like their age, and the idea that, you know, not every teenager knows exactly how to furnish a room at that age, you know? So the room is pretty much together, but I am now going back to change her bed moment here. So like I had mentioned, I wasn't really happy with it, but I had chosen to just move on because I couldn't find anything else. But I ended up remembering these vampire curtains, and I really liked how gothic they were and how much detail they added to the room. So I end up going and I layer two on top of each other because, you know, EA and curtains, it sucks. They don't know how to make a good full-length curtain. And there was a little cut there because I didn't want you guys to have to sit through the whole long, boring process of me placing each of these curtains exactly where I wanted them. But, you know, that is the awful issue with the curtains, and you're gonna see this problem with curtains travel with me throughout this entire build because I chose to do full-length windows. The windows, there aren't a lot of options for medium height walls. So you'll see, even with these ones, the curtain rod, it actually sits just below the edge of the window. And we don't really have any too wide ones that will fit, which is really, really disappointing. I wish that we had some better options. So I end up using a lot of blinds instead of full-on curtains throughout the build. And you'll kind of see how that comes together here in just a second. I'm pulling out the ones from My First Pet stuff here, which, okay, question. Does anyone still genuinely hate, like have burning hatred for the My First Pet stuff? Or have we moved on to just hating Journey to Batu at this point? Because I'll admit that I use both in a lot of builds, but I try not to use it too much, like not have it be a focal point of any given build, because I know a lot of people dislike them. If any of you have like a burning passion or hatred or whatever for it, let me know your thoughts down below. That would be interesting to hear. I'm curious. Because I feel like the hatred for it has kind of died off ever since Journey to Batu came out. But I could be wrong, you never know. So, either way, here we are working on Starfire's room, and once again, I am having bed issues. I don't know why for these two in particular, I really struggled to figure out what beds to use for them. I guess maybe it's because in the references I was seeing, they had very, very distinct beds. Like Raven had the very gothic bed, and Starfire has a round bed, which we don't have in The Sims 4. So I wanted to still do something that made the bed and where it sat distinctive and kind of have it like on a corner rounded off, since I couldn't have a fully round bed. But I was really struggling to find something in the style I wanted for Starfire's room. Because once again, I wanted it to be modern, but I wanted it to be more Cosmolux. And I tried looking through all of the Cosmolux items in the game, and I wasn't really seeing anything that I loved. Like, I found the little yellow chair, but outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot that was, like, screaming out to me. And I actually do end up keeping the yellow chair in the room, but it changes color. It's going to change to blue, and it's actually going to go with the little makeup table there, instead of doing the glass chair there. So it sucks that the thing isn't like usable, but it can very easily be turned usable just by changing out what chair is there. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But you're starting to see the overall color scheme for the room come together here. It's going to be a lot of pink, a lot of blue, and a little bit of yellow. That is overall the color scheme I wanted to do for Starfire's room. Now, I know I could have done more like pink and purple, but I just really like that color combo for Starfire in particular. I think there's something about it that's so distinctively her, and I can't put my finger on why. Another thing I really wanted for Starfire's room was to have a very, very unique wall design, like what the details that go on the wall here. I wanted it to be kind of like stuff that she would have made herself, and I wanted it to be kind of wacky, like not something you would see on just anyone's wall. And I feel like I did a decent job with that, using the stuff from Seasons and pulling in more of her accent colors on the wall there that way. And unfortunately, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but the cloud mirror is gonna go. I end up switching it out for a tall dresser, and I didn't think the mirror fit very well there. And I pull a different mirror into the room so she still has somewhere to look at herself. And the room is almost done here, so we're just gonna put a couple of wall details up. We're gonna do some more posters and more flower details on the wall, which just something about it screams Space Princess Starfire for me. I can't explain exactly why. It's just a thing. But you're going to see the bed moment here in just a moment, because I'm going to finally switch out that bed. And I end up going with a bed from Island Living because I really liked the canopy over it. I thought it did a decent job of conveying like the shell-like thing. The shell-like thing that goes over her bed in the art from both the 2003 design of her room as well as, unfortunately, the Teen Titans Go version of her room. I didn't really want to use Teen Titans Go references, but there aren't as many references as I would have liked. And so I did pull a couple of things from that artwork, unfortunately. Usually it was very, very small, and I chose to go more with my own design whenever I had to, just because I'm a little biased against Teen Titans Go, I'm not gonna lie. But I tried not to use those references too much. If they were available, I would look at them, because I still want this to be pretty true to the Teen Titans as far as like the interiors go and everything. But I just thought I would throw that out there. Now we are working on a spare room for Bumblebee, which I thought was kind of cool. It's going to be a little less heavily detailed than some of the other rooms in the tower. And that's just because, like I said, it is a spare room. So it's a room that, you know, is kind of meant for Bumblebee to stay in whenever she's in town, but it's not somewhere that she actually lives. So she has a couple of things laying around, but it's not, you know, overly lived in, I guess. I just keep repeating myself, I feel like. But we stick very, very true to her overall color scheme with the yellow and the white with these very, very strong black accents throughout the room. And I love how the door looks in this room in particular, because it just fits in with the color scheme so well. We do these fairy lights around the door, or walls, and add a couple of little details just to make the room feel a little more distinct from some of the other rooms. Since there are 2 spare rooms in the tower, there's one on the girls' floor and one on the guys' floor, and 2 less decorated rooms, those being Bumblebee's spare room and Robin's bedroom, because I thought that of all the characters, that kind of fit them the best. I'll be honest, I have no clue what I was talking about. My brother walked into the room and my brain went because I had to talk to him for a minute and pause recording. But we're back now, and hopefully I figured out a decent shift there between voiceovers. And still working on Bumblebee's room here. So I wanted to add a lot of plants and lighting in here. I thought that would be a nice little touch. I'll be honest, I definitely leaned into the bee aspect a lot, which is why I wanted to add a lot of plants, but I tried not to make her like completely plant mom. You know, if anyone in this tower is plant mom, it's Beast Boy. Which I know sounds so funny, but you'll see what I mean when we get to his room. There are a lot of plants in there. We are going to work on the spare room here before moving on to Cyborg's room. So you're seeing this come together really, really quickly. There's not a whole lot of detail in here. It's got a light blue-green theme, and I feel like it was important to have a couple of spare rooms here because this is categorized as university housing, and I wanted it to be an area where you could move your own sim in, or a different hero if you wanted to have like Tara in there or something like that. I didn't want it to be, you know, all fully decorated for specific characters. I wanted to have a little bit of freedom to choose who you wanted to have there as well. That is why there are 2 spare rooms. But as you saw, it's not a very heavily decorated space. It's just kind of ready to move in, add your own posters, or change the color scheme slightly if you'd like. But there isn't too much personality shoved into the space. Unlike Cyborg's room here, where we're actually going to use one of those sleeping pods, because I thought that that was the closest thing we could get to the kind of like bed moment that he has in his room, which is more of like a invention room shop kind of space. It has less to do with like actual sleeping and more to do with tech. And I definitely didn't want the bed to be the focal point of his room, unlike some of the rooms above, because of that. So I made sure to have a little more focus on his desk, which is why you see a lot of bookshelves here, a lot of things surrounding it. I tried a lot of things that I ended up cutting out because they just ended up looking nothing like what I went with in the end. I tried using like tech pillars and all kinds of weird stuff from like Strangerville and stuff like that, but the only thing that I really thought looked decent in the room were the bookshelves. I really liked having the glass desk there. I thought that that was a really cool piece and pulled more glass into the room, which was super fun. And then I do a little poster moment above his dresser here, where I just put together a couple of posters. It kind of looks like a mess when I first start working on it. There's all of these colors and stuff. I'm not totally sure what I want to go with as far as the posters go. But I end up doing more dark blues, blacks, and reds for the posters and have them have a lot of like invention-based, space-based, stuff like that, which I thought was fun. And I do keep the little energy drink because something about it just screamed Cyborg to me. And then these are the three that I'm going to go with here in the end. So you'll see what I mean by the color scheme here. That's going to go over the door, and then we just have the two over there. And then the room just needs a rug, and we'll be moving on to Beast Boy's room in just a moment, which you'll see here in a second. Yeah, that's the rug we're going to use, and there's Beast Boy's room. That was interesting. For Beast Boy's room, I definitely knew I had to do a bunk bed, which is a bit of a shame because every other room has a double-sized bed but Beast Boy. And I even considered putting one underneath the top loft of the bed, but it just didn't quite look right. So I end up scrapping that and putting a little couch under there instead. And once again, I did it again. I used my first pet stuff. I really liked the elongated animal on the pillows. I thought that that fit with Beast Boy just perfectly. You know, I really wanted to add as many little animal call-outs and like little things like that as I could. And I could have gone with a different couch, but nothing else actually has anything like that on it. And I didn't want to put any animal print or anything like that in the room. I thought that was kind of weird. So I tried to avoid that. So when I saw the little animal pillows on the My First Pet stuff, you'll see me finding them now in the perfect color scheme for his room. I had to do it. I had to. I'm sorry. Not sorry. It happened. It's there. Outside of that, we are back on the curtain struggle. So I actually do end up using the ones from the Dream Home Decorator pack, and I scoot them up a little bit on the wall so that they're sitting properly. Unfortunately, that means that they are also floating, because the Sims don't know how to make curtains that sit on the wall at the right height, which is so annoying. Like, it just keeps happening, and it is a struggle every single time. Like, it makes me not want to use full-length windows on builds where full-length windows make sense, because then I have to find curtains to put on them, or have no curtains, but it looks better with curtains, so I want curtains. The whole curtain thing, it just drives me up a wall. Another thing I really wanted in Beast Boy's room was a TV, because Beast Boy is a gamer boy. You can fight me on that fact. I don't care. You won't win. And I do end up keeping his desk. I just move it over by the loft because that's where his TV's gonna go. I'm gonna use the one from the Tiny Living stuff pack, and I'm gonna have the one that like floats on the wall there, which I thought was really, really nice because then I got to put a bunch of little like chairs rounded around it, which ends up adding to just a very messy vibe of his room. And I know you don't really see how much of a mess Beast Boy's room is yet, but believe me, by the end, it is a mess. Like, there is stuff everywhere. He has a bunch of the clutter from Parenthood all over the place. He's got, like, pillows on the floor. He's got, like, stickers on his mirrors, and honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I put food laying on the floor somewhere. I just thought it was very important to make his room look like a complete disaster. But the other thing I really wanted to add to the room was plants, because animals love plants, and Beast Boy is an animal. At the end of the day, like, he is every animal. So I thought if there was any opportunity for me to do a plant mom moment in this build, it was going to be with Beast Boy's room here. And you're gonna see me start adding in a bunch of the clutter and plants here now. And when I say a bunch of plants, I mean they are everywhere. Like, they are in every nook and cranny of the room, which I love it. You know, it adds to the messy vibe of his space, and it adds to the overall environment, making it feel a little more wild. It brings me great joy. I also do these, like, Christmas tree lights around his room as well, which I thought was so cute and so just, like, perfect for him. Because, like I said, gamer boy vibes. I'm sorry, it's there. Fight me. So these are a bunch of the plants. I even get to use the little cat succulent because it's a perfect animal plant mix moment. It made me very, very happy. And like I said, like, there are plants everywhere. I do end up getting rid of the one by the TV, but if a plant gets placed in the room, it either stays or gets relocated for the most part. And now we are moving on to Robin's room, which, much like Bumblebee's room, is very, very muted in personality. I wanted his room to feel more like he's trying to keep his personality at bay. You know, because the whole secret identity thing with Batman, there's no way Batman lets him tell everyone who he is, and he has a lot of secrets. However, I did still want it to feel like it was Dick Grayson's room. So I end up going with Nightwing's color scheme more than a Robin color scheme, because I thought that was a nice way to signify which Robin it was. You know, because with how many there are, and the fact that it's never said exactly within the 2003 show, at least. In fact, they did a really, really good job of avoiding ever mentioning the whole secret identity thing in general. I really wanted it to be known that it was the Dick Grayson Robin, and that it was going to be Nightwing. So I definitely wanted to do that color scheme there. I used a lot of small posters that tell a little bit about the personality, and I do also use that elephant painting from City Living because I love using that anytime I do anything that has to do with Mr. Grayson here, because it adds like that little hint to his past, and it always makes me think of the circus, which I know sounds kind of silly, but it reminds me of, you know, something that he would have because it reminds him of the circus as well. I do add a lot of clutter around the desk because I feel like Batman would give him a lot of paperwork and stuff to do. Oh, and there is the little painting of the elephant, which I keep in red because it's a shout out to Nightwing's red costume. And now, just to finish up the video here, we are going to do the second guest room. If I could stop hitting my little microphone over here. We are going to move on to the second guest room of the entire tower. So this is the other spare room that isn't heavily decorated. It's more orange. It's very, very orange, actually. I don't know why exactly I decided to go orange. I didn't have a certain hero in mind for this room or anything like that. I just thought that it kind of worked well with the Foxberry color scheme, I guess. But that is pretty much everything. There isn't a whole lot of decoration or anything in this room here. It's just kind of there for you to move in and make your own. Speaking of making your own, this is going to be available to download on the gallery. The link is going to be down below if you want to see it in person. And with that being said, we're going to move on to the screenshots here. I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy getting to see what their little bathrooms look like. And let me know whose room is your favorite down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. That helps me out so much. And if you really enjoy my videos, if you like listening to me talk, go ahead and subscribe. Have a good day!